right, heroes. We are here on Wacky Wednesday. It is Erev Thanksgiving, and we were out of sync last week. I had a little touch of the bug, if you will. I was recovering, but we are back for a fun Friday, 2 days early. It's a Wednesday, and we are going to be playing Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle while answering your questions about Judaism, and maybe I'll throw in some of my favorite Thanksgiving recipes as well. So stay tuned. We're going to have a little bit of a musical interlude while I connect all the pipes in the internet, in the whole wide internet, and we'll get back together in just a bit. So hang in there. Welcome to the Jew Curious Show, a show where Jew Curious people can ask their questions or just say hi. A lot of nice folks here to say hi to. Let us know where you're coming in from. But first, this brief musical interlude of chill. And here we are. Let me turn down the music. Just turn that off for a second. So, really glad to have everybody back. We missed last week with our usual, let's see what's our usual time. Our usual time's on Fridays. We usually have Fun Friday. I'm calling this Wacky Wednesday here on the Jew Curious Show. And it's a little bit, it's not so wacky. It's not such a bad thing to be taking the day off, the day before Thanksgiving, and playing little video games with your friends. So, that's what we're doing today. This is the Jew Curious Show. If you haven't been here before, I put this show together because I fully believe that learning about Judaism, getting to know Jewish people and customs and traditions, and taking on some of those practices yourselves, if not as many of those as you can. No pressure, you do you, take it a little bit at a time. But by doing these things, this can help you live a life of greater meaning, greater joy, greater human connection, and greater personal growth. And I know this because that's what it's done for me. And so now I'm taking everything that my teachers taught me and paying it forward to you, hero. So if you are curious about Judaism because you're considering converting, or if you are not remotely interested in converting, you're just plain curious, that's fine too. Maybe you've been Jewish your whole life and you haven't been back to a synagogue in a while, and you're maybe thinking, okay, I want to try this out. I want to take on my heritage and learn maybe what I didn't learn before, or relearn some things that I might have forgotten. This is the place for you. If you are totally committed to another faith, but you're curious about, let's say, the Hebrew roots of your own tradition, talk to a lot of Christian folks who are curious about the things that are in what they call the Old Testament. For us, it's just the Testament. So if you're curious about that, you are in the right place. And what I like to do is over this live streaming chat, whether you're joining us on Twitch, which is my favorite platform, not judging the other platforms, I don't want to make them feel bad, or if you're here on YouTube, or if you are joining us through Facebook Live, it's all okay. All you have to do is type your question into the chat. Please use question marks. Helps me see questions easier. If I miss one because the chat gets going fast, I'm so sorry. Please feel free to repost your question. Often other people in the chat will say, hey, look at that guy's question above, or they'll repost it. So very helpful crowd here. And ask whatever questions you have. If you want to share Thanksgiving recipes with each other, that's okay too. No pork products, please. You do you, but we're going to kind of try to keep this kosher if we can. Maybe having some hacks for how do you make a dairy pumpkin pie if you're having turkey. Short answer, coconut milk seems to work pretty well in our house. So we're going to get to that in just a second, but first I want to acknowledge the people who are on the chat. Let me open up the super chat so I could see everybody. Let's see, we've got who's here with us today. Nawa64, shalom everyone, and D. Willexen says shalom lekulam. Pretzel Rocks is still playing. Maybe I'll turn that off so we don't get those auto chats. K. Dixie subscribed at Tier 1. They've subscribed for 5 months now, currently on a 5-month streak. Thank you so much, K. Dixie. If you didn't know, there's a way to, if you're on Twitch, which I highly recommend, it's pretty dope. If you're on Twitch, you can subscribe to this channel. And what that means is, you give them Twitch some money. They share some of that money with me, which is nice. Helps me keep up my bandwidth and my equipment. And then when you come to Twitch, watch one of my videos, you don't get some of those pre-roll advertisements that they have. Like they'll put advertisements and interrupt the live video. If you don't like being interrupted, then subscribing is a good way to keep that from happening. So I don't know if you don't like getting interrupted in your own life at your own Thanksgiving table. Don't know how to help you with that. But if you don't want to get interrupted by advertisements here on Twitch, you can subscribe. K. Dixie's been doing that for 5 months now, and I really appreciate it. Let's see who else is here. I love the hat. It's getting a little chilly here in California, so I actually opened up my coat closet for the first time in a few months, and I found this hat, and my friend Henrietta gave it to me. So thank you for that. Carla J is here on Facebook. Good to see you, Carla. KG Wilcox, hi, how are you? In the Philly area, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see, we got KG Wilcox and K Dixie and Carla. A lot of K names today. Not knocking the other letters, but K has a strong game here in the chat. Let's see. It's Susan Bird. It's Susan Bird says hi, everybody. Hi, Susan Bird. I'm trying to zoom this in so I don't have to squint when I read what people are saying. Come on, zoom. Zoom already. Zoom. Okay. No luck there. I'll just have to squint. Yeah, everybody's being really nice. I think I had the flu last week. And yes, I know flu shots exist. And no, I didn't get one because yes, I'm a procrastinator. And my whole family got the flu shot. I just was doing something else that day. I was like, oh, I'll get the flu shot later. Don't get the flu shot later. Get the flu shot right now. I will forgive you if you stop watching this stream and go get a flu shot as we speak. You could probably go get a flu shot and come back before you've really missed anything. That's how easy it is to get a flu shot these days. So I was down with the flu for about 3 or 4 days, and even after that, my voice is about 90% back, I'll say. But it's made it hard to get through, bat mitzvahs and funerals and stuff this past weekend. So, no, I'm safe and sound, having a little bit of a airborne, just to keep on the safe side here. Vitamin E. So glad to see everybody here. Susan Bird is in the house. D. Willexen is saying hi to folks. Okay, so we're gonna go back into my editing deck here, and love to see. I asked the question at the beginning: is Thanksgiving Jewish? So Thanksgiving is not mentioned anywhere in the Torah or in the Mishnah or in the Talmud because it wasn't a thing until way after all those books were published. However, there are those who posit that when the whoever it was, the Pilgrims, the Puritans, the Quaker, I'm not sure who they were, when that group of first settlers had their first harvest in the New World, and the Thanksgiving feast was sort of established around that. I'm not going to get into any of the controversy around whether they were right to be there or whether it was this, happy, feel-good dinner between colonizers and the people who were already there. But what I will say, when they had their first Thanksgiving feast, and when they had their first harvest festival, now these were people who read the Bible quite a bit. And so it's said that they modeled this after the Feast of the Ingathering, also known as Sukkot, as it's written it's talked about it quite a bit in Leviticus, for example, and Deuteronomy as well. I was just going over this part. I think it's I want to say Leviticus 16, or is it it's Leviticus. Well, it's in Leviticus, but it's also, no, I'm thinking of Numbers. I want to say chapter 28, Parshat Pinchas, where it goes through all the different holidays, including the holiday of Sukkot, right? Including the holiday where we are supposed to, right after our harvest, have a big feast for 7 days. And there are those who say that the pilgrims were having their first harvest feast, modeling it after the biblical holiday of Sukkot. I wasn't there. I don't know any rabbis who were there who could hechsher that this was in fact a kosher Sukkot dinner. I'd probably say no, but I think it was at least inspired by their reading the Bible about holiday festivals. So that's the minor and historically tenuous connection between Thanksgiving and Sukkot. Can Jews celebrate Thanksgiving? Now, I've seen a variety of opinions on this, and I've seen some YouTube videos from some very, I'll say, fundamentalist perspectives that because this is Davka, an American holiday, or when I say Davka, I'm using yeshivish words because it's precisely an American holiday and not a Jewish holiday. Some rabbis say we shouldn't celebrate Thanksgiving because it's participating in a holiday that's a secular holiday, and some people don't participate in any secular holidays. I, for one, have been doing Thanksgiving my whole life, and just about every Jew that I associate with has done so as well. And so when, the synagogues close tomorrow, like the staff, many of whom are Jewish, some are not, but, the office is closed. We're taking a few days off here, just like our fellow Americans celebrating Thanksgiving right now. So I celebrate Thanksgiving. There's no, the nice thing about Thanksgiving, I think, is that it's a meal you could take pictures at. If you are observing Shabbat in a traditional way and you don't like taking pictures during Shabbat, we have so many great Jewish meals like Shabbat dinner, Shabbat lunch, Shabbat, afternoon snack, all the holidays like Rosh Hashanah dinner. If you're traditionally observant, you're not taking pictures when it's Shabbat or a holiday. And so you don't have those pictures of like people gathered around the table. You'll see a lot of like pre-Pesach shots, and there are Jews who do take pictures, so you'll see this. But for me, I don't take pictures during Shabbat dinner. I don't take pictures during holiday dinner. I could take, I feel great about taking pictures and playing music and do all sorts of stuff that I can't normally do at a holiday meal that I'll do on Thanksgiving, right? And I will certainly turn on the TV and watch football, either after or during Thanksgiving dinner. So it's fun to have a holiday where you don't have the same kind of restrictions as other holidays. So that's another thing that I'm thankful for during Thanksgiving. Let's see. Kay Dixie says, this year we're not thinking so much about Thanksgiving because a more important holiday follows Shabbat. Right. That's the great thing about Thanksgiving is 2 days later you get Shabbat. I saw a funny cartoon a couple of years ago where this, one person who's pretty punctilious about religious observance was talking to somebody who was, let's say, less punctilious, and that less punctilious person was saying, so, is it okay to have leftovers on Shabbat dinner? And the punctilious person said, no, of course not. It's asur min haTorah. It's like it's forbidden in the Torah to have leftovers on Shabbat. Fui, Shabbat's supposed to be all nice things and new things. And you can't, of course you can't have leftovers on Shabbat. And so then the person asked, what do you eat on the what do you eat on the Shabbat? What do you have for Friday night dinner the day after Thanksgiving? Do you have turkey? And the person says, yes, of course we have turkey. There's all this turkey left. It would be a waste, and that would be terrible to not have turkey. So it's a little bit of a dichotomy there. Let's see what else is going on in the chat. Raining here in California, K. Dixie says, only liquid sunshine. That's right, it is raining right now. It looks like it might have actually stopped raining for a second, but it's been raining all morning. It's going to be raining tonight. My son is flying in this evening. I'm going to go pick him up, and really excited to see him. It's been a couple of years since he's been here for Thanksgiving, but picked the worst time to travel. This was the only time he could get away, so he's coming in tonight. But we just happen to have this massive weather front here in California. I think it's. I'm not complaining. Up north of here, it's snowing. I know the Midwest is getting hit really hard, so grateful for what we do have. Have a little bit more airborne. Stay healthy. Get no money from the airborne people, by the way. So let's see what are the questions we have. I'm going to go back into the super chat. All right. So everybody seems to be happy to see each other. I'm going to turn off the pretzel rocks just so that we don't have to see all the updates of music that we're not listening to. What the falafel? You gotta get up awful early to fool Mr. Furley. Get to put your head in it and give yourself a swirly. Sorry, I'm just recalling some Beastie Boys lyrics. Nice Jewish band there. Noah 64 says, in Colorado, we have 18 inches of snow, presumably, and it was 3 degrees when I got up this morning. Oh, my goodness gracious. And Ruthie's here. Nayashashi is in the house. Good to see you here, Ruthie. All right, let's get into a little bit of goofiness here. It is Wacky Wednesday, so let's get wacky with it. Gonna go back into the editing deck and turn on the game screen. And we are playing a brand new game today. Well, brand new for this show anyway. Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. When last we were together, we completed the campaign of what is it? Super Mario Odyssey, or Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Odyssey. Not just any old Mario Odyssey, but the Super one. Got my cords tangled up here. And so I thought, it's about time that we play a new game. But we like to keep it family friendly, and I am a fan of the whole, Mario universe. So I found this game, and I got this game because it has a 2-player mode. I want to be able to play with my kids. When we only do family friendly games here on the Drew Curious Show, don't worry, you're never gonna dial in, and it's gonna be a dial in like it's the 1987 internet. You're never going to come to this show and see Call of Duty or Dead Red Redemption or one of those games. I'm not knocking them. I actually enjoy playing those games, but I want to keep it family friendly on this channel and not have all the blood and guts and shooting while we're answering questions about Judaism. So we're going to keep it friendly, and all violence will be strictly cartoon violence. So I got this game because it has a 2-player simultaneous mode, but apparently you have to play a few levels before it unlocks that 2-player simultaneous mode. So that's what we're doing today. We're not starting from the very beginning. There's a lot of cutscenes in here that will just get boring. Let's see, KG Wilcox says, it's Bookish Oddish in the house. Hi, nice to see you. Got a snowflake on your tag there. Let's see, can stovetop stuffing be made with vegetable oil? So I did say I would give my Thanksgiving tips and tricks. I don't know. I haven't used stovetop stuffing in many years. You give it a try. I'm a big fan of recipe experimentation. So let's see. K Dixie says, let's ask our resident chef Ruthie. So can it be made with vegetable oil? Give it a shot. I don't know. I'm gonna make my stuffing that I've been making for a few years now. Which, let me see if I can remember the whole title of this thing. It is a challah walnut cherry sausage stuffing. And so I start with a couple of loaves of my wife's challah, and then it's almost a shame to take my wife's challah and break it up into croutons. Yeah, it's like making a root beer float out of Moët Chandon or something like that. So I take a couple of loaves of my wife's challah, cube it, and then I mix in some vegetables, celery and onions and that stuff. I use merguez for this, just because I like a good sausage stuffing, but it's hard to come by. Buy uncooked Jewish sausage unless you get merguez. We happen to be, in Los Angeles, where merguez is readily available to kosher markets. Which is like I want to say it's like a spicy Moroccan kind of sausage, and that's the thing. You can either dice it up or you could cut it out of the casing and just and put it in that way. And so you start by chopping either uncasing or chopping up the merguez and cooking that up, setting it aside, but saving the oils from the merguez, and it's either a beef or a lamb sausage, and then using that oil to brown the vegetables, and then we add some. We have the sausage, the vegetables, the croutons from challah, which I've sort of toasted and dried in the oven. Add in some chicken stock. I'm not using it from scratch this year. We got a little carton of kosher chicken broth. So add some chicken stock to all that stuff. I think some eggs. Mix it all up. That usually fills a couple of pans. And I go for I guess it's technically dressing rather than stuffing, because I do not stuff the bird. This is just a safety procedure. I like that bread flavored bread product. But I prefer to cook it in baking sheets or in baking dishes rather than stuffing the bird with it, just because it's hard to, in order to cook the turkey thoroughly enough to get the stuffing on the inside to a safe temperature to eat, you really have to just nuke that bird. You have to destroy that bird. So I would rather have the stuffing and the bird cook for a little bit shorter time so that the bird's still tender. A couple of other of my Thanksgiving tips before we get started with Mario and the Rabbids. I learned this trick a couple of years ago. I always roast the turkey breast side down. I'm never going to get, a presentation turkey this way. It's really hard to get that kind of lacquered presentation look and a delicious bird simultaneously. So I have erred on the side of a delicious bird and instead we'll roast it breast side down so that the breasts are resting in the juices that it's cooking in, and they come out way more tender, way less likely to be dry. That's just a choice of taste over aesthetic of putting that bird on the table before you destroy it. Personal preference. The other thing that we do is instead of like stuffing the bird with stuffing, we stuff the bird with apples. So I'll take 4 or 5 Granny Smith apples, quarter them or core them, quarter them, or put them through one of those little cores that slice them. So have a bunch of apple quarters or apple slices and stuff the bird with that. And then what you get is that sort of moistens the bird from the inside as the apples are cooking and releasing that moisture. And you get some occasional baked apples cooked in turkey juice, which there are probably some vegetarians out there. I'm sorry, I know that Nana Shasha eats a lot of great vegan stuff. But so I know there's probably some vegetarians out there who have stopped watching. But if you're not and you like turkey, stuff it with apples, breast side down, pretty liberal with the basting and slow cooking. That's the way to go. I think, let's see. Kay Dixie says, we make baked stuffing balls, no contact with the turkey. That's nice. Then they're portable. You can just, throw those in the microwave, I guess, from across the room, if you will. Catholic Chris is in the house. That feeling when everyone is talking about Thanksgiving, but you're Canadian and you had it in October feels bad, man. Don't feel bad. You have your Thanksgiving. Be grateful for that, and you get it a month earlier, which is nice. Let's see. KG Wilcox says we stuff with lemon, rosemary, and garlic. That does sound good. I would try that if I didn't think Cara already bought a bag of apples. So those are my Thanksgiving tips this year. Stuff it with fruit. Right, I use an apple. KG Wilcox here uses lemon, rosemary, and garlic. I'll make a kind of a dry rub for the turkey. It's usually a mixture of sage, like ground sage, rosemary, thyme, kosher salt, and it doesn't have to be kosher salt. It could be regular table salt. I've probably had the discussion before with you that kosher. There's nothing kosher about kosher salt. It's actually koshering salt. It's salt the only thing what makes kosher salt, not what makes it kosher, because salt is kosher anyway as it comes, is that it's that flaked salt that was used in koshering meat, because if you spread it out over a fresh cut of meat, it'll draw the blood out of it. So that's what makes kosher salt kosher salt. But anyway, kosher salt, sage, rosemary, thyme, make kind of a dry rub out of that and rub that on the outside of the turkey. Maybe coat it with a little bit of olive oil as well, and then do the dry rub, and then stuff it with apples, breast side down, roast it. I follow the, Cara has an old Betty Crocker cookbook. I just follow the timetable on that, and it usually comes out pretty good. In fact, I think last year might have been my best turkey ever. So we'll see if we can top that. I'm sorry if I'm talking about turkey too much. This is a subject I'm passionate about. I have been roasting a turkey myself almost every year for Thanksgiving since I was about, I'm going to say 18, 19 years old. I think maybe 18 years old. I drew the short straw one year in college in the fraternity, where we were having a fraternity Thanksgiving dinner, and they just randomly assigned people stuff. I pulled a piece of paper out that said I had to make the turkey. So that's the first year I made a turkey, and I've been roasting a turkey every year since. So it's been some years. I think it's been 25, 26 years that I've been roasting turkeys for Thanksgiving. There was one year where I think it was like right after my divorce, and my sons and I were together, and I was living in this really depressing little apartment. And so I went to it was broke, couldn't get everything together. Didn't even have the pots and pans to make a proper Thanksgiving dinner. So I went to the local kosher market, and they sold like ready-made Thanksgiving dinner. So I just ordered 3 of those, and that was our Thanksgiving first year. It was just me and my boys. So, but other than that, I've been roasting a turkey every single year. So I get kind of nerdy on it. All right, so we are going to be playing. Let's see. Nawa64 says, I put salt, pepper, bay leaves, and orange slices under the skin of the turkey. I've done that. I used to do this thing where I would stuff the turkey skin with mandarin oranges, where I would make little incisions under the skin and stuff it with mandarin oranges, or maybe cranberries, like whole cranberries. And the turkey had this kind of, I don't know how to describe it in an appetizing way. It just looked like it had the measles. It was like it looked like it had all these like little welts and boils all over it. It did make the meat good, but I found that I get the most tender breast meat if I don't violate the integrity of the skin and just roast it side down, and that's how it comes out the best. And I'm sort of compensated with the apples. KG Wilcox says New York Times had an article on the relative salinity of different kosher salts, different brands. Or more or less salty. Okay, I know I've been talking about we're going to play this game. One more tip for you, and then we're going to get started. Get a kosher turkey. And I say that not because I'm pushing kashrut here on this channel, but I am. You know, it's a good thing to keep the Jewish dietary laws. For years now, there's been this craze about brining your turkey, right? Taking your turkey and soaking it in salt water in order to make it more tender. The thing about kosher turkeys, although they are more expensive per pound, is they come pre-brined. The koshering process actually has the same effect. You know, the turkeys are washed and salted to draw the blood out of them, and the meat comes out as if it's been brined, but that saves you a step. So it's just as tender as a brined turkey, but it saves you the step of brining it yourself. So kosher birds are where it's at. Most Trader Joe's that I've been to will sell fresh kosher turkeys right before Thanksgiving. And so that's what we got ours. We're about 13.25 pounds this year. And then the other thing that I'll say, if you're getting a kosher turkey, you might notice more pin feathers in the skin, because part of the process of harvesting and processing a turkey in a kosher fashion is that it doesn't get all the feathers or all the little pin feathers still connected to the skin. It doesn't get those out as well as if you get like a butterball or another commercial non-kosher turkey. And so what you might have to do is when you're rinsing off the turkey before you cook it, get a little paring knife and go over it and just sort of pinch the pin feathers between your thumb and the knife blade and just kind of pick those off. And it takes like 5 minutes. It's worthwhile, so you're not like, you know, pulling a pin feather out of your teeth. And with that, let's play a little bit of Mario. We're going to start where we've already been, so I might have to catch you up on some of the finer plot points. And we'll just get into it. So the premise is that through some sort of technological mishap, the Rabbids from the show Rabbids Invasion have gotten into Mario World, or rather there's been a kind of a collision or fusion of the Super Mario World and the Rabbids world. And now the Mario world is full of all these wicked Rabbids characters, and some nice Rabbids characters that have somehow fused with Mario characters are trying to help Mario rid Mario Land of the wicked Rabbids characters. And it's done in kind of a turn-based combat game. So you walk around the land a little bit until you find a fight, and then you'll see what I mean. If you're not familiar with it, you'll see what I mean in a second by turn-based combat. So I think I'm almost to the level. Whoop, progress saved. Defeat all. Okay, so you can see, I'm going to point, but even though you can't see where my finger's going. So you can see, hiding behind various blocks, there are all these characters. We'll check the Tacticam to see where they are. Right, there's one. There's one. Are there any other ones? Oh, there's one over there. There's one over there. There's one way up there. There's like 5 at least that I can see. And so we've got to defeat all of those characters, and it's sort of turn-based. So Mario goes, and then Rabid Peach goes, and then Rabid Luigi goes, and then the bad guys get a crack at us. So let's see what I can do. I think I've totally forgotten how to play this game since I last played it. So we'll go out, battle HQ. Okay, let's fight. So this first one's probably not going to go very well. If I go there, and then you can see if I go behind that, the guy who's close to me, I have a 50% probability of hitting him. I can hit him. Or I can, oh, if I go there, I can get him 100%. But then he can get me too. So, I think I'm going to go here. And then, I'm going to zap him. Oops, sorry guy. And then I think I'm going to take on, there's some sort of special power that I can do that I get to have another attack in the next round. Alrighty. Oh, I can't get to him. But I can get to him. And he'll be taken out. And then that's one off the field right away. But then he'll be totally exposed. Alright, we're going to do that and then sacrifice him. Let's see what else is going on in the chat. Different brands are more or less salty. Personally, I like the pumpkin pies. Pumpkin cheesecake is special. Kosher turkey has got one. KG Wilcox says, I love Empire. Empire does make good kosher turkeys. When you get it at Trader Joe's like I do, I just get the Trader Joe's brand turkeys. They do a pretty good job. Let's see. They're I think actually the Trader Joe's kosher turkeys are private labeled Empire turkeys, because if you look at the label is where the turkey came from, they come from the same town as the Empire turkeys do. So I think, as is Trader Joe's way, they just white label existing products, which are awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and activate his special power, which I think is some sort of shield activity, I'm not sure. Oh, I can't bounce off of him. I do want to bounce off of him. Okay, so I'm going to go over, do a little alley-oop on my friend there, bounce behind that wall, and then I can get that guy with an unobstructed shot. And I'll activate her shield, just because she's exposed to the guys who have the high ground there. KG Wilcox says, Nawa64 says, when I make pumpkin cheesecake, I'm looking forward to my mom making her chocolate pie from scratch. KG Wilcox says, just like when Green Acres characters visited Petticoat Junction. Oh my goodness, that is a blast from the past that I know mostly through reruns. I wasn't around when Green Acres was made, but I watched a lot of Green Acres as a kid. And I put Rabid Peach there in a precarious position, but she's got a shield on, which I think is helping. At least I hope it's helping. There's another one. Gonna take a pot shot at Rabid Peach. Okay, glad I put the shield on her. Let's see. Now you got me hankering for watching some Green Acres. Used to watch that on reruns every day when I was a kid. Okay. Where is everybody? There's Mario. There's that guy. I'm going to go in the rabbit mouth tube here. Then get behind there, and I still have a clear shot at one of the rabbits. So she's going to go through the tube. Get there. And she has a clear shot at that guy. Pew! Let's see. First one, KG Wachak said I love Empire. I forgot we were talking about kosher turkeys. I thought you were talking about the TV series Empire. It's not a bad show. It's very dramatic. A lot of dramatic intrigue there. Let's see. I'm gonna go over to my bro here. Bounce myself to there, and maybe I can. I got a 50% on that guy here. Yeah, at least here I got a 50% shot on somebody. That's the probability of it hitting. Oh, I got 100% shot at another guy. Alley-oop. So he's a 0, he's a 0, he's 100, he's 50. Gonna go for the sure shot here, or the 50% probability of taking somebody out completely. Alright, we're gonna go for the sure shot. Let's see. I like when after school reruns. Yes, very much so. Katie says my niece drives to another state to eat her cousin's chocolate pie. That's the truth. Like I said, my wife is the pie baker. There are now 5 pies cooling that she made this morning. Let's see. We got 2 pumpkin. Let's see. I think there's 2 pumpkin pies, a cherry pie, pecan pie, because I am from Texas, and chess pie, because her relatives were from the South. Is a different part of the South. So she makes 5 pies, and I make the turkey and the stuffing. And this year I'm gonna do mashed potatoes. I saw a tip on the Today Show this morning about mashed potatoes made in a crock pot or a slow cooker, and I thought that seemed like an intriguing idea. Can I get up there? I cannot. And then as soon as I said crock pot, Cara said, why not the Instapot? And I thought, that's an intriguing idea. Let's see if I can get this guy. My yo-yo over the chasm. Boosh! Almost. Kay Dixie says, we hear Rabbi's wife makes award-winning pies. I don't know, we don't enter into a lot of pie contests, but it's just to keep it fair for everybody else. Oh, come on. Okay, Rabbids, your uppance will come. 2 to the lady. Alright, Mario is in the open. Gotta take these guys out. Boosh! Alright, who's first? Who wants some? Take that guy out. When I can't slide tackle him. Let's see, who can I take out this turn? That's my best bet. Let's see. I'm going to focus on who I can take out this turn. Noah 64 says, love chess pie. I had never heard of chess pie before I had met her. And it's a pretty simple, like, custard pie. Oh, he's got 2 left. How's he got 2 left? Alright. Bounce off of that guy. And then come over here and get that guy. Okay. Slide tackle. Out. So he's out of the game. And then take out that guy. And he's out of the game. And I think that leaves just 2 enemigos to go. If you're just joining us, this is the Jew Curious Show, where anybody who's curious about Judaism can ask whatever questions you like about Jewish stuff, Jewish traditions, Jewish law, Jewish philosophy, history, what have you. We'll do my level best to answer them. Because I believe that learning about Jewish stuff gives you a life of greater meaning, greater joy, greater human connection, and greater personal growth. It's done that for me. So now I'm just paying it forward. But because we like to have a little fun here, I'm doing it while playing Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. So let's see what we have in the chat. Love Chess Pie. Good afternoon. Trig B. Hey, Trig's in the house. Good afternoon. Much love to you all. Good to see you, Trig. Trig says, I can't stay long, but wanted to make sure I did say hello. It is cold here. You're up in Washington State. Asks, are you feeling better, Rabbi John? I am feeling much, much better. Thank you for asking. And thank you, everybody, for your kind messages and warm wishes while I've been sick. Let's see. But now I think I'm over it. I'm just trying to get my voice back. Just had some airborne over here to help out. Carla J says, do you just use 1 or 2 IP for meat and milk? One or two IP for meat and milk. I don't know if that's a question about my live streaming, what IP I'm using. So I think it's Instant Pot. You just use 1 or 2 IP for meat and milk. So typically I think we use our Instant Pot for meat, and since I'm making parve mashed potatoes, so that should be okay. So we use if we had made a lot of, we don't really make dairy stuff in the Instant Pot. It's usually for cooking stews and things like that. So it's a meat Instant Pot. Don't know if I have a lot of good slow cooker dishes for dairy stuff. So I just remember to have these ear goggles that I can listen to the Mario stuff while we're playing. All right, cool. Kay Dixie, do you think Hanukkah celebrations are mainly for kids? A Jewish lady told me that years ago. Well, no, I don't think it's just for kids. I think everybody can get into Hanukkah. I will say a lot of how we Hanukkah is determined by the culture that you're Hanukkah-ing in. So I think everybody can enjoy Hanukkah. Everybody can light the candles. I think, when you're a kid, you maybe can't appreciate the dedication to religious freedom that Hanukkah celebrates the same way that you can when you're an adult and you've actually had that freedom challenged throughout your life. So I think there's absolutely great meaning to be derived from Hanukkah. When we think about sort of the modern, late 20th century, early 21st century American version of how Hanukkah is celebrated, it's very much part of a child-worshipping consumer culture of the second half of the 20th century. Hanukkah wasn't about presents as much as it is now back, let's say, 50 years ago. I asked my friend Jerry, who's 97. When I want to know how Judaism's changed, I always ask Jerry because he's been around for so much of it. And he said, he did get Hanukkah presents, but they weren't like, 8 giant presents every single night. They weren't these extravagant things, because I think at some point in the 20th century, as Jews were assimilating into American society, we wanted there was pressure for Jewish Americans to have the same kind of consumer celebrations that other people were having. Christmas didn't used to be as big a deal in terms of presents being bought. It was about the holiday. I mean, I don't know. I can't tell Christians how to do Christmas, but I get this sense that over in the prosperity of the greatest generation coming back from the war, wanting to treat their kids, the baby boomers, to the best that life had to offer, and the evolution of marketing, I think all holidays got co-opted into this, of all cultures. So I think Christmas fell victim to this. I think Hanukkah's fallen victim to this. Am I getting my kids presents? I absolutely am. Do I hope my wife's going to get me a present? I absolutely do, right? But we're also going to light candles. We're also going to play dreidel. We're going to do the traditional things. But I want to, for adults' sake, to know that there's so much more to it than that. So I don't think it has to be of course the kids get a kick out of it, and of course it's important to help them get a kick out of it because they're going to school with Christian kids who are having a big deal about Christmas. And so, but at the same time, I think we should instill in an early age that Hanukkah isn't Jewish Christmas, people. It's like it's not the same thing for us. Like Christmas is like one of the top 2 holidays of the year for Christian people, right? It's Christmas and Easter. Hanukkah for us is like, I don't know, maybe 7th or 8th in the list of holiday priorities. So it's not that big a deal. We still celebrate it. It's still fun. Every culture has a festival of lights around the winter solstice because that's what we need. So let's go ahead and take this guy out. But I don't think Hanukkah is just for kids. In fact, I think there's some very adult lessons in Hanukkah and adult tensions about Hanukkah. I mean, it's based on a victory of a war, of guerrilla warfare, and so I think there are nuances to it that only adults can appreciate. You know what? I'll tell you what I don't like is mensch on the bench. I think mensch, and I'm gonna stake a claim here that might upset some people. I don't care for the mensch on the bench. I think this is somebody cashing in on the same kind of consumer impulse and this sort of Me Too-ism that got, there's like, oh, they have an elf on a shelf, we'll have a mensch on a bench. And the other thing I don't like about mensch on the bench is that it's supremely, let's say, from-centric and bizarrely anachronistic. This 20th century chassid, again, sort of modeling the male fundamentalist observance of Judaism as the quintessential observance of Judaism, placing it in, he goes back to the Seleucids, tells a very from story about Hanukkah, and then makes them latkes, and said, like, latkes have only been around for about 100 or 200 years. Used to be latkes were made out of something else, like carrots and other fried vegetables. There was just a famine that the only thing we could get was potatoes, and that's when latkes became popularly made out of potatoes. Okay, now it's the enemy's turn, and all my guys are extremely exposed, but it's three of us against 2 of them. Princess Peach may have had it. So KG Wilcox has subscribed to Tier 1. Very nice. Been subscribing for 5 months now. Excellent. Trying to read this thing. Somebody a little bit small for me. We got 15 bits. Very good. Really glad to drop down into this lovely Jew Curious stream this Wednesday. Nice to see you here. I just can't read the name because my eyes don't work that well anymore. Rabbi agreed about the mensch on the bench. I reviewed the toy for Parents' Choice Awards and it wasn't great. Thank you for agreeing with me about mensch on the bench. I'm sorry to be a killjoy. If anybody's really into mensch on the bench, you do you. It's just not for me. So let's see. I've got one guy. Where is he? There's 2 guys left. So this could be in a precarious position for Mr. Mario. We're going to focus on this dude. So we're going to slide tackle him. And then shoot him, and then we're going to get the other Luigi guy after him. We might be able to take him out this turn. Alright. So take that guy out. It's down to 41. Kind of point blank there. That seems pretty harsh, Mario. Then we're going to slide tackle him again and take him out. And then 100% shot at that guy. It's going to be close. We got Rabid Peach has been sidelined, and Alaka Snap. So, should be able to take him out the next turn. Carla J says, mensch on the bench is as creepy as Elf on the Shelf. And likewise, it is, so we do have a mensch on the bench. Somebody gave us mensch on the bench, so we do have it. I don't promote its use. However, whenever we find it for the holidays, we pose it around the house in shocking places, sometimes just to scare each other. Like, if you're not expecting to see mensch on the bench in the freezer, it can be a little bit disconcerting. Take him out of the slide tackle, and then really don't have to do anything beyond that. But just in case. And I think that's it. Battle cleared. All right. D. Alexin says, while conversing with my sister over lunch, we somehow ended up talking about women's rights and gender equality according to the Torah. She claims that ancient Israelite society to have been, and remains to this day, overtly patriarchal and very suppressing toward women. I tried my best to defend, but was unable to be convincing. What are your thoughts on this subject, Rabbi? That is a complicated question. Yes, if you read the Torah, it is incredibly patriarchal. It comes from its time and place. I'll say that just reading some history recently between sapiens. Right now, I'm reading a book called The Rational Optimist, which is a much more libertarian take on the evolution of society, and also what's that guy's name? Will Durant, and the story of civilization talks about patriarchy emerging as a function of the invention of agriculture. And how once people stopped hunting and gathering, where labor was slightly more fairly distributed, in hunter-gatherer societies, it was usually men who were out for large game and occasional protein, whereas women were equally employed but gathering, and women actually provided most of the calories, gathering roots, nuts, seeds, some like shellfish, things like that. But both spouses worked, and it sort of exchanged labor in a slightly more fair way. Once we had the advent of pastoralism and farming and things like that, it became men, instead of hunting, were pulling plows and things like that. And then so the other members of the family became kind of employees of the system, the wife, the children, etc. People, now that there were more calories readily available, people had bigger families, and women were sort of subordinated to household work in a much more stark fashion. And this was the scene when our patriarchs, and even the word, when Abraham et al. Came on the scene. This was the society that we were in, and so this is where our texts are coming from. Over the centuries, that as patriarchy evolved, so too did it get sort of folded into our view of the world, into our laws and things like that. And so what I would say is, yes, it's extremely patriarchal, and traditional texts do encourage the subjugation of women. I will challenge you to find a single other contemporary culture for which this was not true. And I am proud of how Judaism, over time, perhaps slowly, has remedied this, especially the liberal movements in America and elsewhere have evolved to include women including, it sounds patronizing, have evolved to recognize the full human status of women, full capacity for participation. Are there fundamentalist groups of Jews, mostly in Orthodoxy and certainly into the Haredi world, where they're still extremely sexist and patriarchal in how they operate? Yes, that is absolutely true. However, I'll challenge anybody to look at any religiously based community and not find that kind of patriarchy, and that it increases the more fundamentalist the point of view. So I can't exculpate Judaism and traditional Jewish culture from this, but I will say that it's not because we're Jewish. I'll say that it's because a society that evolved from the agrarian is by nature patriarchal because of the economies of 5,000 years ago, and we've been trying to recover from it ever since, and different cultures have responded to it in different ways. I think it's a shame that a faith that does recognize the inherent godliness of every individual, regardless of gender, has occasionally been used or co-opted to reinforce the a-religious taboos, strictures, etc. of the prevailing society. So I guess I just do my small part how I can to, focus on the Torah that recognizes the equality in godliness of all humans, and spend less time teaching people to subjugate others because of gender, minority status, what have you. So I can't fix it, but in how I teach, I try to do my part in small ways. So I hope that's helpful for you. It's not a problem that I can solve, but it's something worth working on. Let's see. There's a question about lighting candles early because so now we're going to talk about candle lighting. There's a question about lighting candles early because of work schedule. You know, if you have to, you have to. I'll say if you got like an evening work, ideally Hanukkah candles should be lit at night because it's the idea is that we're bringing light into darkness. There's lots of provisions if you know if you're going to lose livelihood because of this and you have to do it a different way, do it a different way with the intention that, God willing, you won't always have that situation. So if you have to light early, you have to light a little early. In truth, on Shabbat, we light Hanukkah candles early because Shabbat candles are to be lit before it's fully dark, and you can't light Hanukkah candles after Shabbat candles. So there, if you need a precedent for lighting Hanukkah candles before it's dark, we do it every Friday that falls during Hanukkah. So let's see. We're going to play for a little bit longer. I'm going to try to find... Oop, before I get into another battle, I'm going to see if I can find Peach's Castle here. Because I got to go in just a little bit to prepare for the classes that I'm teaching this afternoon. If you're watching this, you're in the Jew Curious School, know that just because it's Erev Thanksgiving, we're still having class. We're doing our weekly Torah class at 1 o'clock. We're going to be talking about Parashat Toldot and the three sister, speaking of patriarchy, the three sister / wife narratives that we see in the book of Genesis. Because what we see in this Parsha is Isaac pulls the same trick that his father did twice already. There are two discussions so far in Genesis in chapter 12 and in chapter 20 of Abraham going to a new place, thinking, okay, if they see my beautiful wife Sarah and they find out she's my wife, they're going to kill me to take her. But if I tell her that she's my sister, then they'll be nice to me. And so Abraham does this twice, once in Egypt and once in Gerar, in the under the purview of Avimelech. And then we see his son Isaac doing the same thing. And so what we're going to talk about in the weekly Torah class is compare these three things, see how they're similar, see how they're different, see what some of the medieval commentators had to say about this, and just kind of share your own ideas. And then that's at 2 o'clock Pacific time. At 4 o'clock Pacific time, we're going to have lesson 3 of our Hanukkah class. And I'm going to share with you this really cool piece of Talmud that I found a few years ago talking about Hanukkah before the Maccabees. It seems to give some indication that Jews had a winter solstice festival well before the story of the Maccabees, and those things kind of got folded in together. So I wanted you to see that text as a part of our mini course on Hanukkah. So we're going to, let's see, play around a little bit. I'm trying to find the Princess Peach's castle. I'm going to hit X, weapon selection skill tree. No, that's not it. So Y, doop, doop. Nope. Still learning how to play this game. Okay, maybe we'll do one more battle and then call it a Wednesday. So I came from there. Oh, I need to go there. Oh, there are some flags. It means battle time. Yes, of course. Why wouldn't I want to get 50% extra health? Oh, there's a chain Chompkins. That seems healthy. See, Nawa64 says, bummed that I will be missing Hanukkah and Torah studies this afternoon. Got to pick up my mom and sister at the airport. If ever there was a good excuse to bag class, that's a one. And I know we didn't get the recordings up from last week. I'll get all of those recordings up from last week and this week before Thanksgiving, so you can still see those classes. Let's see, Drungeons and Dagons. Oh yeah, up in chat, someone mentioned lighting them in the afternoon due to work. That's cool. I think we answered that. All right, cool. Let's do one more battle, and then we'll call it a day. All right, so there's going to be a chain Chompkins here. Alrighty. Only charge once we have completed our turn. So always make sure we have to stay out of the way of the chain chomp. Let's look at the Tacticam to see how many folks we have. I think we've got 5 enemigos. All in the same level here. Okay, back out of that. Okay, what's up, Chain Chomp? Alrighty. Hopefully she's out of the range of the Chain Chomp there. I'm not sure, though. Let me take that guy out. Let's see. Okay, Dixie said thanks. It's a big TG Thanksgiving year for this. We have 4 generations convening at my house for the holiday. Very cool. Now the enemigos get to fight. He tried. Oh, ouch. Where he's picking on the Mario. And a snap. 1 down, 4 to go. If you're just joining us, this is the Jew Curious Show, a place where people who are curious about Judaism can come and ask questions or just say hi to each other. And we do that because I think learning about Judaism gives you a life of greater meaning, greater joy, greater human connection, greater personal growth. Works for me, so I'm just paying it forward. That was unnecessary but fun. Got him. Alright, Chain Chomp, what are you going to do? Oh, ouch. I guess that chain's not actually chained down to anything. Guy's getting a bruising. Oh. Check out the Jukurious School if you'd like to take your learning to a higher level. Thank you for that, Kay Dixie. Yeah, we're gonna have a little fun. One of my mentors who teaches online made the suggestion of having a Black Friday sale for joining the school. I don't know how I feel about having a Black Friday sale for a school. I don't know if you guys would be into that or not. Let's see, who would I have a better chance of? Maybe. Oh, there we go. Let's see. Glad that all of you joined us today. This is Kay Dixie. We appreciate your thoughtful questions and your interesting comments, of course. There we go. And he's down. So I think there's just one of them left. I think we're just going to concentrate fire on that guy. And Chain Chompkins be darned. Might be able to take him out this turn. Slide Tackle. And Kazawi. Alright, so that's Mario Rabbids. Love to hear what you guys think of this game. If we'd like to play it again. I'm still trying to figure out how to get to work in two-player mode or campaign mode, and we'll try that next time. But listen, I'm really grateful for everybody who tunes into the show whenever we have it to do some great learning together, ask questions. I'm most proud and thankful that all the people who show up for here are super nice to each other. So I know it's not always true on the internet. When people are chatting, sometimes it gets a little bit tense, a little bit angry, a little bit rude. But that is not the case here. We've had a couple of those jokers come in. I am quick on the bandhammer, as my friends will attest. But we have some really nice people who get together here. So if you're one of those nice people, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being nice. If you've been lurking, I hope you've seen that that this is a great community to be a part of. And as always, I'm super grateful. You know, that's one of the things I'm thankful for this year is of many blessings that I have is the nice people I get to hang out with and learn Torah with, either in the Jew Curious School or here on the Jew Curious Show. And so thank you for that. And I'll just sign off for right now. I've got to get ready for some classes that we have in the school this afternoon. So until next time, heroes. I should say no Fun Friday this week. That's what we're doing on Wednesday. But I interrupted myself signing off. Until next time, heroes. Peace. Thank you all. Thank you for being quiet. Lighted up. I'm back on again in about 40 minutes. How's the library? How is it burning out?